Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and welcome to Knife AQ episode 164, the knife series where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. And earlier this week, the MKM Pocket Tango finally launched, and you folks had some questions. So let's get right into it. So I know we've covered the Pocket Tango a lot this week, but as my first production collaboration, it's kind of exciting, and I'm having a little bit of a victory lap at the moment. So if that's not your thing, no worries. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming next week. But you folks did have a fair number of questions about the Pocket Tango, so I'm pulling a few of them out to talk about here. If you're new to this series, the way we get questions that we answer is we find them in the comments section below these videos. So if you've got a question and you want it to have a chance at being answered on a future episode, please drop it down below. First question, Jacob Brotenberger, 4952. Could you do a deep dive into the Pocket Tango, such as how much space it takes in the pocket? Sure. Well, for the deep dive, I would suggest watching the interview we posted with Igor, our rep at MKM, the person I worked closely with on getting this project off the ground. We'll leave a link to that. But how much space it takes in your pocket is a vital question, and we haven't really talked about that specifically, but it was a very important consideration when I was designing this knife. The pocket dimensions, I worked out from there. Basically, I didn't want this knife to be just a cool knife that happened to be small that could fit in the pocket. I started from the mindset of this is living in the pocket first and foremost, and built everything up kind of around that. Because for me, that front pocket where I carry mine, I carry other stuff too. It's not the only thing in that pocket. So I wanted it to be as easy as possible to integrate into that space. So here's the one I'm carrying today. Let's just do some quick measurements for folks who are curious. The depth, I'll measure this from where it would kind of loop over your pocket, is about, let's see, almost 5 1/4 inches right here. You could probably futz with that just a little bit. So that's not a hard and fast measurement. There's a little bit of wiggle room there. And then at the widest point, we're dealing with, let's see, about 1 7/8 of an inch or thereabouts. And then it tapers, of course, from there. And those tapers are important. They kind of allow things to tuck and fit around the knife when you are using other things. But also beyond that, the space outside of the pocket is actually is having an effect on the pocketability. And what I mean by that is, and this is something I have mentioned, the angle to this handle, the way it sits curving backwards just a little bit. When that knife is sitting in your pocket and you go to reach in past it for something else, it stays out of its own, or it stays out of your way by angling back, and then all the edges being nice and smoothed over. Doesn't snag you in any sort of way. So it should be a bit easier to reach past and get to. So smaller pockets like women's jeans. I know we had some folks here, some ladies here in the office test fitting these in their pockets, and might have to angle it a little bit. They're not going to go straight up and down in all pants pockets. Again, about a 5 1/4 inch distance right there. Thickness wise, well, all right, let's be thorough, shall we? Let's see. It's with the knife in it. This is far from precise right here. The widest point is about 5/8 of an inch. At that widest point right there. So not taking up a huge amount of width there. Certainly not that much different than many folders out there. Let me make sure I hit all the points I wanted to hit there. I think so. That is how the Pocket Tango fits in your pocket, I would say. Harry Crab, 8725 is our next questioner. Says, even in tight hipsters, congratulations DCA, super happy for you, but even in tight hipster skinny jeans, I cannot draw the MKM Micro out of my pocket without the sheath coming with it. Magnets just aren't strong enough. A deal breaker, unfortunately. Is it just me? So there were many variations of this comment being made, so I'll talk about it a little bit. I actually showed you how I extract the knife from the sheath, the Pocket Tango from the sheath, in the new Knives of the Week video, so we've got footage of that already. But any kind of pocket sheath, whether it's magnetic or Kydex with an ulti-clip, something holding it into place, will require a little bit of a push with your other thumb. And that's true of the Micro as well as the Pocket Tango. The magnetic sheath is actually, it's kind of interesting in that it's sort of puts it somewhere in between a Kydex sheath, where you'll typically need a nice, strong, positive push off with your thumb to pop it loose, and a traditional non-magnetized leather sheath where you might be able to just draw the knife. Somewhere in between. So what you do, this is an MKM Micro, by the way, just a little bit of a push off with your index finger has been enough for me to draw a Micro from my pocket when I was trying these out, as well as the Pocket Tango when you need to go there. And it stays in the pocket pretty easily, especially once the sheath is broken in. And actually, that's another good point. Any kind of leather sheath, magnetized or otherwise, if it's real tight at the beginning, you just got to power through, man. They will get better with time as, sorry, Thomas, for the unclean audio there.
Thanks.
But they will get better with time as they kind of break in and mold around the knife itself a little bit and just be easier and nicer to use every day. So,
like shoes.
Like shoes, or when you break in a good pair of leather boots, same thing, same deal right there. Hope that helps. Next question comes from Baldemar Garcia. Sorry about that. 6341 DCA. Why was your personal design knives not manufactured by USA knife makers? Excellent question, and I would love to work with another USA manufacturer on a collaboration design. I actually already do, though, in a way. Like I work with LT Wright on my Nessmuk brand, which is a brand that existed before I started at KnifeCenter here. But batches of those knives don't happen too often, mainly because in order to do the Nessmuk stuff, it means I have to go home from doing what I do here every day and go home and do it again and do it more. And with a kid and everything now in a bigger house that we're living in, there's only so much time in the day. But the Pocket Tango was not my first pocket fixed blade design. That would actually be the Skipjack, something I released under that Nessmuk label. I think it's a good knife, but it doesn't do you much good if you can't actually get your hands on one. So for one thing, this MKM collaboration is a great way for me to get more pocket fixed blades out there to folks like you. But to get down to like the meat of your question, the way this project came about is MKM actually approached me to design a knife for their lineup. And hey, I like the Italians. Maniago has a super rich history of creating knives. And now I get to be a part of that history. And I'm super proud to be a part of that history. I mean, why wouldn't I jump at an opportunity like that? This MKM hookup, as far as I'm concerned, is a win-win-win from where I'm standing. Like I said, super proud to be involved with them. Next question comes from Chief J. Hey DCA, I have a very interesting challenge for you. We'll be the judge of that. Gentleman's fixed blades? We thought about that a little bit when we were putting together the variations of the Pocket Tango here. It's why we have some more kind of rugged versions with Micarta or G10 handles and stonewashed finishes, but I wanted to give a fancier option too, which is why you have the satin finish with a olive wood or carbon fiber handles. And these are some fancier fixed blades, but what constitutes a gentleman's fixed blade? I've actually been chewing on this a bit. I'm not sure what the answer is. So I'm going to throw it to you folks in the comments. What would your requirements be for a gentleman's fixed blade? And while you're thinking about that, I'll tell you what I did this past weekend. It was Easter weekend here, and I did carry my olive wood handled Nessmuk bladed version as my my slightly nicer knife for the weekend. But there's some situations where a gentleman's knife to me is always something that's pretty discreet, and this much handle sticking out of your pocket and the black flap on the outside calls attention to itself. And so even though I had my olive wood knife that I carried most of the weekend when we went to Easter service, I carried my tactile Rockwall because it's nice and subtle, doesn't take up a lot of space in the pocket, and it's a great gentleman's knife. I almost feel like the true gentleman's knives can be carried in more gentlemanly situations than a fancy fixed blade. I've done it. Like this knife, I made this knife. I happened to carry this at like a KnifeCenter Christmas party. Great time to carry a fancy knife like this. This first edition of the Skipjack, a little bit fancier, but I don't know. Is any fixed blade discreet enough to be a true replacement to a gentleman's knife, folding knife in every situation? I don't know. Comment section, let me know what you think. All right, now we come to the poll results. Thomas over there, dear old Thomas, inspired Seth to create a poll on our Instagram talking about, or having you vote on your favorite blade shape between the two. We didn't include the KnifeCenter exclusive version here, although maybe we should have in that poll. Maybe we need to rerun the poll with this included. But between the Nessmuk and the other blade shape, you guys had to vote on it, essentially. So let me pull up the results to that right here. Give me 1 second. All right, we'll have this pop up on screen. Nessmuk, 34% to Team Reverse Tanto, 66%.
Vox Populi.
Almost 2 to 1. Well, the internet is not always correct. I like both of these blade shapes, but come on, Team Nessmuk. The Nessmuk has been selling quicker than the other one.
Team Reverse Tanto doesn't necessarily have money.
If they're anything like you, that's right. Although you did pick up one of the reverse other blade shape ones. Thank you. That gratifies me, sir.
I had to dip into my truck budget.
Now we come to the lightning round for today. Jotade 2098. DCA made a reverse Tanto? The irony.
Yes, he did.
All right, here's the thing with this blade shape here. I'll hold up this particular one right now with KnifeCenter exclusive burlap handles here. In reality, the inspiration for this blade was not a reverse Tanto. It was not a nod to Thomas going like, here you go, old buddy. This is actually inspired, when I was drawing it up, as a modification of an old Lambsfoot style blade. And if you don't know what that is, you're in luck, because this is really funny. The confluence of Lambsfoot things happening as this knife is coming out is kind of astonishing, because it's not something you hear about too often. But check this out. This is Knife Magazine, March 2024 issue. They actually did a several-page feature on Lambsfoot bladed knives. Check it out. Here is a classic example. The main difference between it and a standard sheep's foot is that the spine angles down towards the tip slightly. So, can you see the inspiration now when I hold it up like so? Furthermore, this knife actually came onto the KnifeCenter website the day we were filming this. I didn't even know this existed. And again, the timing of this just couldn't have worked out better. This is the briar patch from Rosecraft Blades, and they describe, even on their own website, they acknowledge that this is a Lambsfoot blade. Check that out. That just makes me happy. And it means I can call it something other than Reverse Tanto. So yeah, that's that explains, I think, the Lambsfoot connection for those of you who are wondering. And Lambsfoots can be slightly different from one to the next. They've got some other pictures earlier in the edition here. Yeah, actually, the first the cover photo is really good. There we go. Check that out. Oh, I got my hand on it, don't I? Hat tip to Knife Magazine. Good folks over there running that publication. Next question. Good Main YT. In anticipation of the upcoming town... Shall I try that again?
No.
In anticipation of the upcoming Tango 2 fixed blade, that would be the Lambsfoot bladed version, which multi-tool would you pair with it? Well, as I don't always say it, but the best multi-tool is the one that's the best for you. You didn't tell me anything about what you need your multi-tool for. Do what makes you happy. For the record, Thomas has a Leatherman Free P4 on his hip, and he's also got a Pocket Tango 2 in his pocket right now. So there you go. All right, last lightning round question. Matt Langella 6759. Could you take more shots of the knife in your hand using different grips? The blade styles are cool, but if the handle doesn't fit your hand well, I'm not going to end up carrying it. Sure. So it's designed with a 3.5 finger grip, as you can see right there. Agility more than brute force. It's not a huge handle. Let's take a measurement of the effective handle length here. I should know this since I sketched it all up originally. About 3.5 inches, but shaped so that you can get that grip there. If you do a gorilla grip, it's not going to be poking out the end of your hand right there, at least not for my slightly larger than average hands, but it does give you a nice full grip and it angles the blade down so you can really push down into some grips. And the other grip it's really good at is that pinch grip. Thanks to the thumb scallops there at the front, you can really get in there, do some digging, scraping, tip work, whatever you need. Sideways grips like this feel really good with the inside of the spine pointed towards your knuckles here. That feels really nice. Not maybe a reverse grip so much, although it's not too bad, but it's not really intended for that. Anyway, lighter cuts shouldn't be any real problem though. Everyone's hand sizes are different though, so of course your mileage may vary. All right, well now we come to the final question of the day, which is of course our most serious question of the day. And this is not a Pocket Tango related question. This comes from Kit2770, looking at one of the shorts we posted recently. Since the knives are pictured in a person's hand, is the banana really necessary for scale? Well, everyone's hand's a different size, aren't they? Bananas only come in one size.
There's standard measurement.
And we're Americans, and we'll use anything except the metric system, of course. Well, that's all we've got for today, folks. Thank you for all the support, all the well wishes, all the great feedback on the Pocket Tango this week. Super thrilled they're finally here and you're able to get your hands on them. Next week, we'll be talking about other things, not the Pocket Tango. We might talk about it a tiny bit, but probably on to the next thing. Thank you, folks. Keep your questions coming. Drop them in the comments below. Keep your most serious questions coming as well. And if you want to get your hands on any of these bad boys right here, although a few of these SKUs we are already sold out on, although more should be coming, check out the links in the description. That'll take you to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of our knives today is give you some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We are signing off. See you next time.